I told you that one of the most powerful companies in tech doesn't run flashy ads, doesn't have celebrity endorsements, and barely makes headlines, but is quietly powering the internet economy behind the scenes? Hey Brainiacs, welcome back to Brain and Bank. I'm June, and this is where we decode the mindset, money, and strategy behind today's smartest businesses. Today, we're breaking down Stripe's $1 billion blueprint. How two brothers turn a tiny startup into a fintech empire by solving a boring but massive problem, and why quiet, purpose driven businesses often win bigger than the loud ones. Let's get into it.
Chapter 1: The Humble Origins of Stripe. Stripe wasn't born from hype, it started with a headache. Back in 2010, two brothers from Ireland, Patrick and John Collison, were building software projects and noticed something strange. It was easier to build an app than to accept payments for it. Setting up online transactions was clunky, time consuming, and locked behind complex banking infrastructure. Instead of complaining, they built a solution. Stripe's mission from day one was simple but powerful: make it easy for anyone to accept payments online. And when we say anyone, we mean developers. Stripe didn't start by pitching to big corporations, they went straight to coders, side hustlers, and startups who needed a clean, fast, developer friendly tool. The idea? Give creators a few lines of code and let them start charging money in minutes. No red tape, no middlemen, just function. The Collison brothers weren't flashy, they weren't loud, but they were obsessed with detail, product design, and removing friction. That obsession, paired with one real world problem that no one else was solving well, laid the foundation for a quiet revolution. Stripe didn't try to disrupt banking with buzzwords, they just made it work better. And that, brainiacs, is where greatness begins. Not in noise, but in usefulness. Chapter 2: Solving Real Problems with Simplicity. Stripe didn't become a fintech giant by shouting the loudest. It became one by building the cleanest solution to a frustrating problem and obsessing over simplicity. When most payment systems were bloated with clunky interfaces and complicated banking relationships, Stripe asked a simple question: what would happen if we built payments for developers first? That single shift in focus changed everything. Instead of chasing flashy features, Stripe made integration ridiculously easy. Just a few lines of code, and your startup could start accepting payments anywhere in the world. That kind of simplicity wasn't just convenient, it was revolutionary, especially for entrepreneurs, creators, and businesses that didn't have time or resources to jump through hoops. But Stripe's genius didn't stop at code. Their user experience was frictionless, their documentation was crystal clear, and their onboarding was smooth and human. It made developers feel seen, respected. And here's the quiet magic: Stripe didn't try to be everything. They focused relentlessly on one thing: making money move, and did it better than anyone else. This customer first simplicity turned Stripe from a startup tool into a must have financial backbone for some of the world's biggest platforms like Shopify, Amazon, Lyft, and countless online creators. Their growth wasn't driven by noise, it was driven by need. And in the creator economy, that's a lesson worth gold. If your product removes pain and adds clarity, your audience will grow quietly and powerfully. Chapter 3: Building Behind the Scenes. In a world obsessed with virality and visibility, Stripe did the exact opposite. They built in silence, behind the scenes, and it worked. You won't find a flashy Stripe billboard in Times Square. There's no Super Bowl ad, no celebrity CEO doing press rounds. Instead, Stripe focused on what most businesses overlook: quiet excellence. From day one, the Collison brothers chose product over publicity. They believed if they solved a real problem incredibly well, people would talk. And they were right. Stripe's growth came from developer word of mouth. From one startup founder telling another, Stripe just works. That kind of organic reputation doesn't come from hype, it comes from flawless utility. And here's what's brilliant: Stripe made itself indispensable, not visible. They became the invisible engine powering thousands of online businesses. Whether you're booking a ride, ordering food, or signing up for a subscription, there's a good chance Stripe is handling the payment behind the scenes. But it wasn't just tech. Stripe scaled strategically. They built quiet partnerships with giants like Visa, Amazon, and Shopify, companies that didn't need to be sold on flash, but on trust and performance. And while other tech startups were focused on burning cash to get attention, Stripe stayed lean, focused, and mission driven. Their founders even took coding shifts in the early days, building alongside the developers they served. That mindset, serving from behind the scenes instead of chasing the spotlight, is what made Stripe not just a product, but infrastructure. They didn't market themselves as game changers, they simply became one. Chapter 4: Lessons in Humility and Purpose. One of the most powerful lessons from Stripe's journey isn't about technology, it's about mindset. While many startups chase press, valuation, and ego driven growth, Stripe stayed grounded in something more valuable: purpose and humility. The Collison brothers weren't in it to be Silicon Valley celebrities. In fact, most people still don't know what they look like, and that's by design. They let their product speak louder than their presence, and that decision shaped the culture of the company. Instead of chasing investor hype, Stripe remained privately owned for over a decade, even as it quietly reached a $95 billion valuation. Why? Because they cared more about building something lasting than impressing the market. Their focus was always long term. And their mission, it's not just to process payments, it's to increase the GDP of the internet. That one sentence says it all. They didn't just want to grow a company, they wanted to grow an entire ecosystem of online entrepreneurship. Stripe succeeded because it understood something fundamental. When you align your business with a deep, clear purpose, you don't need to shout. People come to you because your product works and your mission resonates. Humility doesn't mean thinking small, it means thinking clearly. Stripe showed us that you can build quietly, serve deeply, and still win massively. And for creators, solopreneurs, and founders watching this, that's the blueprint worth following.
Stripe didn't rise to a $95 billion valuation by going viral. It didn't chase fame, flex investors, or build with buzzwords. It just solved one real problem and solved it better than anyone else. And that's your takeaway today. You don't need noise to grow. You need purpose, simplicity, and consistency. If this episode helped reframe your mindset around business building, hit that like button, subscribe to Brain and Bank, and share this with someone building something meaningful quietly. Drop a comment below. What problem are you solving that the world might be overlooking? Because remember, you don't need the spotlight to build something valuable. You just need to serve well and let the results speak for you.